I wanted to talk a little bit about how we all learn differently, and understanding how we learn helps us learn a lot faster. But there's something else that I've realized as well, and that is that any deficiencies that you have in your learning style, or like whatever you want to call it, you have a deficiency in attention, or you have a deficiency in retaining information, like you have a bad memory, or whatever the thing is that is your weak point. Becoming aware of the weak point, firstly what we do is we don't work on the weak point. We try to find ways that we can use our strong points. So if you're not good at retaining information, don't do a whole bunch of things that require you to retain a whole bunch of information. Develop your own workaround for it. That's the best thing that you can do if you want to develop yourself faster. Like, don't just keep banging your head against the wall. That's the first piece of the insight. And the second piece of the insight is, as you work with your strengths and your natural abilities, you'll actually find that you will outperform. Not that it's a competition, but you will overtake others who were originally, like, you were looking at them going, oh, they've got an amazing memory, or they've got an amazing attention to detail, or they've got amazing focus. Like, whatever it is that you think was everybody else's superpower, your superpower might be better, like your thing that you're really good at. So as soon as we stop focusing on what we're deficient in and we start focusing on our strengths, we have all of these insights emerge and all of these new possibilities show up. I feel like I say that particular phrase in so many videos. The new possibilities show up. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for new possibilities all the time. Like, how can things be different? Especially if, like, you're not happy with the way that things are, or you're feeling like you're not getting the results that you want in your life. Like, how do you address that? You look for new possibilities. You look for different ways to do things. So the insight for today is, like, change the way that you learn, change the way that you approach problems in the world. And I know we don't have a lot of authority over our lives in a lot of cases. Like, if you're going to school and your teacher's teaching you a certain way, or you're going to work and you're expected to work at that workplace in a certain way, but you can make little tiny changes to the way that you approach your situations. Like, just knowing yourself, if you've still got to do these exercises, or you've still got to engage with these processes that don't align with your learning style and your capabilities, your natural abilities, you can still be aware of what you are deficient in and do your best to approach these problems in a way that suits you. Like, it's just about bringing more awareness to what's in front of you. Like, you can't really change the obstacle, but you can change yourself, and you can change the way that you approach the obstacle. And sometimes it might be best just to walk away from the obstacle. If you're really in a job that doesn't align with you, your values, your strengths, your natural abilities, you're really studying something that's just not aligning with that either. Like, maybe sometimes the awareness says, like, walk away. Maybe sometimes it's the best thing for you to completely drop all of that stuff and open up all of the space in the world for new possibility. Start from scratch, find something completely new. You could even take this to the extreme and begin. Like, just let go of everything. Like, you don't even have to physically do this. You don't have to quit your job or stop studying whatever you're studying or whatever, but just as a thought experiment, like, just drop all of that stuff and then go back to square one, which sounds terrifying. Like, nobody ever wants to start over, right? But, like, I've started over so many times in my life that it just seems like, of course, let's start over and try something different all over again. Let's go on another adventure. Let's go on another journey. Like, it gets less scary the more that you do it. And the more that you hang on to this one path that you think you absolutely must stay on, the more terrifying it gets. And you get, like, sucked into thinking that that's all that there is for you, when really possibilities are abundant all around us all the time. So what was I going to say? Basically, like, you could start from a place where you're looking at, okay, what are my strengths? What are my natural abilities? What are my values? And then while you're reflecting on those and contemplating those, use that as the foundational point to decide what to do with your life. Like, if you're really good with animals, don't disqualify a career working with animals. Like, that's absolutely what you should do. But like, we have this habit of going like, oh, I could never do that because I can't even do X, Y, Z. Like, because I have a bad memory and I have all these deficiencies or all these things that people have told me that I'm not good at. So I can't do the thing that I want to do because I suck. You don't suck. You're fucking awesome. You just haven't realized it yet. And I see that, like, that's like one of the biggest things that's happening to people. Like, they're jaded and they're like over it and they feel like there's no possibility for them. But there's so much possibility for everybody if we can identify like who we are and what we want and what we're good at. And like, it's really all comes back to self-awareness. That's what this video is about right now. Self-awareness, like knowing yourself, like really knowing like why things aren't working for you. Identify that and then change it. Like, let's take a different approach. You can do that. Like, another thing about making these changes and like becoming self-aware is as you change yourself and you change your circumstances and you start to fiddle around and play with reality, play with your life, play with your relationships, the people that are on that train of thought where like, this is me, this is what I do, like this is my reality and everything is exactly where I want it, they're going to react to like you're basically like messing around with everything. And like, anybody who's involved in your reality and they have relationships with you and your reality is going to be, you know, they have an emotional investment in how you live your life as well and how you show up. And you know, there's envy, there's judgment, there's criticism. All these things are going to be triggered off as soon as you start playing and you start changing and you start creating. Because as soon as you bring self-awareness to the table, it triggers off self-awareness in everybody around you. Like, if I'm like, one of the big things that, like, here's a really good example. When I stopped drinking alcohol, everybody in my life who had a problem with alcohol was suddenly like just behaving so differently around me, having totally different relationships and reactions and like all of this stuff. And it had like, it's not like there was any direct, like, I didn't tell anybody else, you got to stop drinking, you have a problem with alcohol. I said, I got to stop drinking, I've got a problem with alcohol. But everybody else who's identified that in themselves and has that self-awareness in themselves is going to go, oh, fuck you. Like, you're like, because you're identifying the thing in you that's also in them, it triggers off that self-awareness that's undeniable, and then they all of a sudden have to face this issue. They don't have to, they can totally ignore it and continue to live however they want to live. But unconsciously, they're going to look at you and go, oi, you're changing reality. Stop changing reality. When really, your reality has nothing to do with their reality. And it happens with everything. Like, if you think like your social skills are the thing that's holding you back, and you're going out to all of these parties, or you're doing everything with your partner or your friends or whoever, and then all of a sudden you realize like social situations actually really drain you, and being surrounded by people all the time is getting in the way of your growth, and you decide to stop going to all of those like parties, engagements, events, all these things, and all of a sudden you're not playing your part in their reality. Like, they're going to react to that and they're going to go, oh, why are you like not fun anymore? Like, why aren't you doing all this? And you're staying home reading books, or like you're like painting or making videos or doing whatever you want to do. They're going to attack that, and it's got nothing to do with like you. It's just that their reality is being affected by your absence. But like, you should never ever feel guilty for becoming like for your absence from somebody else's story. Like, it's, if you want to contribute meaningfully to one another, the first thing that you need to do is figure out who you are, what your skills and abilities are, what your strengths are, what your values are, so that you can contribute in a way that's meaningful to you. Because then you're going to want to contribute, and you're not going to feel this sense of scarcity that there's not enough to go around, and like everything's taxing your awareness and making you feel drained and tired. You're going to feel great, because when you show up for other people, you're going to show up on your terms, and they're going to love that. They're going to appreciate that so much. But it's funny because even when you do get to that place where, like, you know, this is how I want to contribute, I know who I am, I know what I do, people might still try to put you in the box of their reality. Like, this is the character that I need you to play. This is the character that I need you to be. This is the way that I need support from you. And they turn you into the characters that they already had in their life who weren't helping them. And the reason that they weren't helping them is because people are stuck in these cycles where they're just repeating the same shit, and they like unconsciously are reproducing that over and over again. So like what I'm saying is, like, when you step away from it, you should never feel guilty because you're creating something new, and that's a brilliant thing to do, and that's an amazing thing to show other people around you as well, even though it doesn't feel good for them. Like when I stopped drinking and everybody was like, oh shit, like my drinking might be a problem, like anybody in my life who had their own issues with alcohol, like I've actually given them a gift. I've like given them like some self-awareness. They're not feeling like it's a gift at the time because it's really painful. But, you know, sometimes it all comes back to just you do you. So if you got anything out of this video, click the like button for me, leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you again very shortly.